What is up, everybody? Welcome to the very first episode of Fourth and Frames for the 2021 Fantasy Football regular season. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards, and we got a full crew here. We got Teddy, we got Nate, we got Brian returning to the pod. Welcome back, Brian. We got our new writer, Tyler Heil. Tyler, introduce yourself. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you, Jorge?
Doing all right. He will be covering our waiver wire show on offense, and joining us, he's a member of the fam, Oklahoma Doug. How you doing, Doug?
Hey, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Doing all the DFS, doing some DFS content over for Club Fantasy FFL. Love those guys. And as the title of the show says, we're doing our bowl predictions segment this week. And it's a very special week here at Fantasy and Frames because we have some of our members from the UK chiming in with some of their bowl predictions. And I know they don't get a lot of airtime because obviously when we're doing our show, they're sleeping if they're smart, which they are. Because God knows I don't sleep. So that's probably an issue I have to address at one point or the other. But anyhow, let's get into some bowl predictions for the 2021 fantasy football season. And let's go with our friend Jonathan. Just FYI, you may have to turn up the volume just a smidge.
Hi guys, so my bold prediction for the 2021 season is that Denver Broncos rookie Javonte Williams will be a top 12 running back over the second half of the season. I think he's got the kind of profile that will fit really well in the NFL, and I think his situation will kind of mirror what we've seen for a few different rookies in recent years, where he might start off a little bit slowly in a committee, and then as the season progresses, I think he'll take over that backfield. So yeah, interested to hear what you guys think.
So I noticed while you all fans were out there watching that, Teddy was like putting his head towards the screen where the speaker was. Did you get all that, Teddy?
Absolutely. I actually put my head closer because I really want Jonathan to just like talk me to like sleep and send me off into like dreamland because it is just silky smooth. Whenever he's talking, it's like a fine whiskey. Just that was amazing.
Yeah,
just keep talking to me, Jonathan.
I was going to ask if the Patreon after this is just him reading books to everybody, and if so, I would like to know where to sign up. So back to you in the studio, Jorge.
Very nice. Well, Teddy, you're a North Carolina fan of these running backs, both Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. What are your thoughts on Jonathan's bold take there? Do you think he takes over and dominates the second half of the season?
I mean, I think he can. I assume you said Teddy. My wife is yelling downstairs about her fantasy draft. Nice. So whether or not you did, I'm taking it over. So I think it's an interesting point that he brought up because whenever he first said that Javonte Williams would be a top 12 running back, instantly I was like, no. And then he said the second half of the season, and I got intrigued because I think we're all kind of expecting Javonte Williams to take over this backfield. Granted, that's probably just off-season positivity because Melvin Gordon has been known to not give it up, as far as like his role and snaps without going, down without a fight. So it's kind of whether or not we think he's going to take over because I think when he takes over, he's going to be crazy. But even if he's top 12 second half of the year, like I'm guessing Jonathan's talking about like he'd be a trade candidate at the deadline to kind of make that playoff push. So, I mean, I like it. I don't know because we've seen David Montgomery, what he did with the tale of two seasons last year between being, kind of a low running back and then being the wide receiver like 2 in the last 6 weeks of the season. So I like it. I don't know if I can put as much faith in it for what we know right now.
That makes sense. Brian, let's get your opinion here on Javonte Williams. You did a lot of our dynasty content, a lot of our player profiles. You pretty much did like all 100 plus of them articles over the course of the spring and the early summer. So what are your thoughts there on Javonte? Do you think he can have that impact, that bold impact that Jonathan was talking about?
I happen to agree with Jonathan. I think as the season wears on, he's going to overtake Melvin Gordon, who is a ripened 28 years old and probably looks older than that on the field. And I think by the second half of the season, top 12 is within the reach for Javonte Williams.
Very nice. Let's go now to our other writer here at Fantasy and Frames. So, by the way, Jonathan is going to be doing our wide receiver matchup articles throughout the season. So basically, he's going to be discussing the most favorable, wide receiver matchups that you should pay attention to when you're setting your rosters. And Billy is going to be doing the running backs. Right? No, I did it backwards. Billy's doing the wide receivers. Jonathan's doing the running backs. So
I was about to say, you gave Jonathan more than just Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp every Sunday.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
All right, let's go to
promotion.
Let's go to Billy here over in London. What is his bold prediction for the 2021 season?
Hey guys, Billy checking in. My bold prediction for fantasy and frames this season: the Buffalo Bills to have QB1 and wide receiver 1 in fantasy football. Yeah, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. The passing volume is going to be there. I'm looking for some positive touchdown regression from Stephon Diggs. Keeping Brian Daboll is really, really important. They've got that chemistry there between Daboll, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. The Bills are a passing football team. The volume's going to be there for Stephon. And, I think Josh Allen, QB1, Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 1. It's got absolutely nothing to do with me being a Buffalo Bills fan, I swear.
I don't know if I believe that last part. But okay, let's just say that he was telling the truth right there. Nate, Now I know you're going to say no because we all know where your heart lies, and we got, which rightfully so. I'm not going to say you should be, not that we're judging you that you're a big Chiefs fan and Patrick Mahomes fan, but does Billy have does he have a point here? Is there a chance that Josh Allen can actually finish as the top quarterback in fantasy this year?
Oh, there's a significant case to be made. Let's go back to the past, the one significant preseason game that he played. That first half, they ran the ball, 6 times total, and they threw every other time. That tells me that they have zero faith in their running game. I've never been a Zach Moss fan myself. I had been a Devin Singletary fan. Clearly that has not boded too well for me, so I have kind of broken the hitch from the wagon, or whatever that phrase is. But yeah, there's 100%, I'd say, validity in scenario for that. Now, I think that there are more. I think the more unlikely scenario is that Stephon Diggs isn't the wide receiver 1 more than Josh Allen, not at quarterback, than QB1 personally, just because I think there's more mouths to feed as far as the passing game goes in Buffalo. Emmanuel Sanders comes in. I think he's more involved in that offense. Gabriel Davis takes another step forward. Granted, that's just 2 scenarios, but yeah, it's a bold prediction. It's not supposed to be, do I think this is a temperate prediction? This is bold. So yeah, I think there's definitely a chance, a path for both those 2 things to happen.
What about you, Tyler? What are your thoughts about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs finishing at the 1s in their respective positions this year?
It is a very bold prediction. I can see Josh Allen finishing as QB1, but not because of passing. I can see him finishing as QB1 because of running. I'm going to steal this, and I'm not going to claim it as my own, but I heard from Bill Barnwell that Josh Allen from year 2 to year 3 improved more than any quarterback in the history of the sport. To think that he can take a step forward from his passing numbers last year, I think is misguided at best. So, I like it. I like the boldness of it, but I can't get behind it.
Yes, there's a hairy pickle right there trying to think about what could happen. I know that's a horrible segue, but Teddy, why don't you take us and talk to us about another hairy.
Speaking of hairy pickles, we have a new sponsor here at Fantasy and Frames and Fourth and Frames, and support for Fourth and Frames is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the Lawnmower 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FRAMES at manscaped.com. All capital letters, all one word, obviously, FRAMES. Do live showing. Okay. No, so I'm not actually going to do that. So
sorry, Manscaped, too much, too far.
Yeah, no, but in all honesty, that's kind of that's what we had to say. And what I would like to say is they did happen to send us a Lawnmower 4.0. And I don't know if any men out there have ever nicked themselves down there when they've been cleaning up.
It's not fun.
It is about the worst pain that I could ever imagine. I was terrified using this thing to make sure that, like, to test it out, because I'm not going to promote something I haven't tested. And I am no longer worried about cleaning up. My wife's a big fan. I love it. It's fantastic. So I can't recommend it more if you are in the mood for a new trimmer. I now don't have to use the same one for my face and body. So that's always helpful. And it's just a good scenario all around. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code FRAMES at manscaped.com. You will thank me later.
The segue could have been. Now, granted, this isn't to, hey, Jorge, what you had the opportunity, but we would go from Bills to Balls could have been set up. Next time we have a Buffalo Bills segment, you now know from Bills to Balls.
Bills to Balls.
Something tells me that we're never going to do that, are we?
You know what? That sounds like a great segue. We should probably work that into every single show going forward. But no, seriously, this lawnmower thing, the 4.0, wireless charging, it even has like an LED spotlight for those hard to find places. So it's actually pretty.
It really does. It creeps you out when you turn it on. It's like, what is that?
What is this, a flashlight? But it's like
they're not kidding about having a lawn down there. Apparently, I was like,
and I know a Nick down there don't sound like much, but fellas, this will linger on. You know, if you work outside like I do myself, and you get a little sweat going on down in the nether regions with that little nick. Folks, we're talking burning, okay? So that it's something that lingers on. Take care of your junk. Go to Manscaped. Enter that promo code.
Promo code FRAMES. And with that, let's go to our next bowl prediction. Let's go to Nate, since you came up with our great segue that we'll be using from now on. What is your bowl prediction for the 2021 season?
One, I would say, segment of people that probably do not use the Manscaped 4.0 are people from, well, this is probably painting with a broad brush, but I've heard the French don't necessarily like to take care of certain areas. And speaking of French and France, we're going to Paris. It's Paris Campbell, the wide receiver, 36 on the season. Yes, you heard it right. Not that they don't shave, but that you can shave about 40 spots off the wide receiver ADP this season. Paris Campbell, right now currently going outside the top 65 of wide receivers, is in line with the loss of T.Y. Hilton, with a healthy Carson Wentz. You have draft pedigree, you have speed, 100th percentile speed burst, 100th percentile 40 time, 4.31. You have a slot, I'd say a slot receiver that Carson Wentz likes to. I'm trying to tone it back down. I had to keep it together.
No, keep going. Keep going. No, you're good.
That was you toned down?
Exactly. No. So here we have this. We have an ultra athletic profile in a situation that, granted, we know one thing. Paris Campbell cannot stay healthy. It's true. I get it. 2 straight years he's missed significant time. But if there is a chance he stays healthy this season, I think everything lines up for him to be ultra, involved in that offense. You look at the 3 games in the last 2 years. This is a sad statement, but at the same time, it's telling. 3 games, last 2 years, he's played at least 60% of the snaps. He's only had 3 of those. In those 3 games, what has he done? Last year, it was week 1. 9 targets, 6 catches, 71 yards, and a rushing attempt. 2019, he had 8 targets, and in week 9, 2019, he had 5 targets. So he's averaging over 5 targets a game when he plays 60% of the snaps or more, which he should do. Carson Wentz likes to throw to the slot receiver, has done that about 30% of his career. The 2 things add up. Don't worry about nicking yourself. You're going to be good. You're going to be clean. It's going to be fresh. Paris Campbell, wide receiver, top 36.
Brian, what are your thoughts on Paris Campbell?
Good luck following that.
Now that we've lost all our French viewers,
Another good segue. Oui. Shit. Oui. Continue, Brian. Sorry.
It's okay. It's always been about whether he can stay on the field. I think Nate made a good case with the stats. The talent's there. They do have the rookie Strachan there, who also might be a mouth to feed. I don't know. 36 seems a little high for me, but that's why it's bold. So Yeah, maybe.
So, Nate, if you're saying Campbell's going to be in the top 36, where do you have Michael Pittman's going?
About the same. About the same. I think that there's a chance that both. I think there's a 50% target share between the two of them that can be occupied. I know Zach Pascal's name might get thrown into the mix. I am high on Brian Edwards too, but at the same time, I have to make a case for just one jumping in, getting. I mean, he set the Ohio State record for receptions with 90. I'm not saying he's going to have 90 receptions next year or this year. I mean, but there's a case that with the ball in his hands, and also he has 9 rushing attempts in those very, very minuscule amount of games. I think he can be involved. The biggest question I have besides injury really is just going to come down to which Carson Wentz we're going to get. Is it the Carson Wentz that we all think we're going to get, or is it going to be the 2018, 2019? Doug, what's up, buddy?
That's a point that I would like to make is about what's behind Carson Wentz. Is you got Eason, who's got the big arm, and what is Campbell known for? He's known for taking the top off. So we know we can get him the ball in that situation. And then you look at who I think is a better quarterback, and kind of transitioning into my bold prediction, I think Sam Ehlinger finishes the season as the Colts quarterback. But look at Sam Ehlinger at Texas with Devin Duvernay and Colin Johnson, and the way he made those guys big-time NFL receivers who we think are going to make leaps and bounds in this next year. So I believe old Slinging Sam can get old Paris Campbell the ball just as well as Carson Wentz. And, Carson Wentz had Deshaun Jackson for, a season. And I know it didn't really kind of do well with him, but he still had that guy that could take the top off. So I like the call, and, kind of piggybacking off of you, that's my bold prediction there is Sam Ehlinger finishes the season as the Indianapolis Colts starting QB.
I feel like this is the first time an Oklahoma resident talked up Texas. This is I'm used to horns down, and this is all positive. This is wild.
Well, around here, when you only get 3 channels on the TV, a lot of it is Big 12 football. So
Days of Our Lives, Big 12, Wheel of Fortune.
Outside of the Red River rivalry, I get to see a lot of Texas, and I get to see a lot of old Sam, and I get to see the way that he can keep a drive going. And I feel like that's right up who's the Colts head coach?
Frank Reich.
Right. I feel like that's right up Reich's alley. Is a guy that can keep the team on the field, complete third down percentages, and I think Sam can do that. So
I like it.
Nate, you mentioned earlier like the Carson Wentz we can expect. The Carson Wentz that I expect is the one who's not on the field. And that's unfortunate given like what has happened with his career the past few seasons ever since that Super Bowl run they made. What year is that? 2017, I think. 2018, one of the two.
Yeah.
And then with the back and forth with the COVID stuff this year, and then the injury to the foot, it's just it's tough. But I do like the Paris Campbell take. That is definitely bold. But like you said, it all comes down to health there. Yeah, that's Doug. I'm actually a pretty fan of your take right there. That is, I don't see Carson Wentz staying healthy the entire season. So I am, but it makes you wonder if they're going to go to that quarterback. Then what does this mean for the offense as a whole? Do they just blow up everything and just basically try to retool everything around Jonathan Taylor, or do you think that the quarterback you're talking about can actually carry this team?
Well, they got the best offensive line, or maybe top 5, top 3 in the entire NFL. If you can put Carson Wentz back there, a guy that, let's face it, he's checked down a lot. He throws a lot of crossing routes. A guy that's just kind of met, and kind of turnover prone, kind of crumbles into big situations, and that's why they needed Nick Foles to step up. Anyway, back to Sam. I just think Sam fits, with Easton. He's a guy that's got a big arm. Can make the flash throws in practice and stuff, but when it comes down to it, I don't see him fitting Reich's kind of offense, and therefore I think Sam is a first guy in, last guy out type of guy, game grinder. And I feel like that kind of works his way up the depth chart. One injury to Wentz, in comes Sam. The expectations are kind of tempered for the Colts. I mean, Tennessee's up and coming. That division. Lawrence now with the Jags. So, the Colts. Maybe if they can get a playoff berth, but they ain't looking for the Super Bowl. So why not get Sam in there? That gives Wright an excuse for another year to be there. Hey, I'm working with a rookie quarterback. So I think it all kind of meshes well together, and we see Sam slinging that pickle come
that hairy pickle.
Week 8.
Nice.
No, Jorge, it's not Harry because he went to manscaped.com and used code FRAMES for 20% off.
There you go. Brian Ford, let's get to you. Let's talk about your bold prediction real quick. What is your bold prediction for the 2021 fantasy football season?
Yeah, so my bold prediction is that Austin Eckler will be a top 5 running back in 0.5 PPR. He did a lot with the touches that he's gotten. He's a good check down for a young quarterback. I think the offense is moving in the right direction. He has an exquisite body that we saw in those pics from when he was working out, which is beautifully manscaped. And
using the lawnmower 4.0, exactly.
Yeah. And I look at running back as a position that year to year can be volatile with injuries and people aging quickly and that sort of thing. And I think a couple things break right, and I think he's going to be top 5.
It's funny. Remember the old adage back in the day where people would look down on running backs because they didn't get enough attempts? Well, they're not a between the tackles running back. They only catch the ball. Well, you know what? Most of us play in half PPR or full PPR leagues. That's kind of the norm. And you know what? Okay, so they don't get beat up every single game running in between the tackles. They catch more passes. That's great for us for fantasy. So with Eckler's usage in both those areas, I'm totally on board with Eckler being a top 5 back this year in half PPR scoring this year. Nate, what are your thoughts there?
I love Austin Eckler. I don't know if I'd go in hyperbole about the exquisite body as much as Brian did, but I can't. I would. It's glorious. And then
it's a great body. You're not wrong.
Well, it's a great situation too. I mean, that offense. The only thing that concerns me, the only reason why top 5, and you have to do it this way because to make it bold, I don't think that's crazy bold. The reason it's bold is because he even admitted that he doesn't see that he's built for goal line work. And when you don't have goal line work, of course, a touchdown ceiling might be lower. But that's why I think it's so bold, and that's why it's great is the fact that he might not need goal line work to legitimately be a top 5. There might be that much reception upside and that much receiving work to go around for him that he could sneak in that way. That's why I love that prediction so much.
Nice. Before we get going to our next bold prediction, let's just talk a little bit about our main sponsor for today's show, DynastyPandemic.com. Teddy, Nate, Tyler, I don't know if you saw when you were at the Expo last year. These guys launched their website at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio a few weeks ago. And it's basically like a one-stop shop online community. They have this really cool feed when you go to their website. It's called a chatter feed. You basically just jump in and just start talking, asking questions about whatever you want there. And they're really just about community building within the Dynasty community. So whether your particular brand has a Patreon page, a YouTube channel, you can rate, review, and subscribe to all these platforms that are on DynastyPandemic.com. Whether you're a writer, you're aspiring, an up-and-coming podcaster, or just a Dynasty junkie, they want to engage with you. They want to promote you. That's just like they're promoting us. They're putting our live streams on their show, on their website. They're putting our podcast stuff on their website. They're helping us grow, and they're there to help other brands grow as well. They also have an app on iOS and Android. The guy Clay over there building a great thing over here. Community building in the fantasy football world in general, I think is a great thing. We all go on Twitter. We all see all the anger, all the hate, all the stuff that happens practically daily, which is, laughable at this point. And it's very rare you actually see people out there trying to build something positive. for all of us to take part of. And that's what they're doing at Dynasty Pandemic. So go head over to dynastypandemic.com today. Follow them on Twitter at Dynasty Pandemic. And, we thank them for sponsoring the show. And, they're doing great things over there. So with that said, let's go to Tyler. Let's get your bold prediction for the 2021 fantasy football season.
All right. The one thing I will say, Brian, is Austin Exquisite Body Eckler is my RB5 in projection, so I'm all in.
Nice.
All right. So my bold prediction, looking at the AFC North, it's full of starkly different offenses. The Ravens run to run because that's what they're good at. The Browns run to pass because that's what they're good at. The Steelers pass to run because that's what they're good at. And the Bengals pass to pass because they don't know how to do anything else. And Zach Taylor doesn't know how to run an offense. So, with that said, I don't see why Joe Burrow wouldn't throw 40-plus passes a game again like he did last year, unless, they don't want to get his other ACL torn. But I think he will. So I'm going to go ahead and say that T. Higgins is going to be the highest scoring wide receiver in the AFC North, on top of any of the Pittsburgh wide receivers, on top of Odell Beckham Jr., anyone, simply because of volume. I don't think Jamar Chase is ready to play in the NFL just yet. He hasn't really played competitive football in 2 years, so he's going to take some time to adjust. And I think T. Higgins is going to take advantage of that and be the highest scoring wide receiver in the AFC North.
Teddy, I saw your facial expression when Tyler just mentioned that. What are your thoughts there about T. Higgins?
So I wanted to double check on Fantasy Pros just to kind of see who, because I completely agree, but I didn't think it was so much of a bold prediction as I was kind of expecting that to happen already. And so basically what would be happening would just be that he would be outscoring Deontay Johnson just based off where he's being drafted right now, right? So it's essentially the expectation is that he'd be finishing behind Deontay. I think he finishes above Deontay. And I think that, I don't even think that's too bold of a prediction. I like it. I think it's solid. I think it's more of an expectation. And I think it's good.
All right.
So that is definitely a bold prediction. And I get you with volume, but I was told that Joe Mixon is a thing every year in fantasy football, and that, yes, the offensive line wasn't really addressed, and Giovanni Bernard's not there anymore. They're going to start throwing to him, out of the backfield more. Are you concerned at all about any influence the running game has on this offense here, Tyler?
I am not concerned about the influence that the running game has on this offense. I see the Bengals running game similar to the Steelers, whereas you think they run the ball a lot because they have a running back that gets almost 300 attempts. But overall, as a rushing offense, they don't run the ball a lot. They just have one guy that gets all the carries. So, no, I don't think that's going to affect their passing game much at all.
Nice.
I think if anything, it's going to elevate their passing game.
Yeah.
So, hence why I like Tyler Boyd so much.
Very nice. And let's round out the show today. Let's talk a little bit IDP. Doug, you're one of the big guys in IDP and fantasy football Twitter land. Who's an IDP? What's an IDP bold prediction? Wow, Jorge can talk. What's an IDP bold prediction for the 2021 season?
Let's see. Eric Wilson, Philadelphia Eagles linebacker, will be a top 15 linebacker. I think, according to what he accumulated last year with Minnesota, saying he's a top 15 linebacker is pretty good. Right. And one little one to go out on, I ain't really put a bold prediction on it, but Hassan Reddick, if he's defensive end eligible in your league, I think the guy with Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Yatur Gross-Matos, Jeremy Chin, Shaq Thompson, Dante Jackson, Floyd Pride. Okay, that's the whole defense. I think all those guys are going to be very good for Hassan Reddick. He's finally playing where he can play on the edge in a 3-4 defense, or excuse me, 4-3 defense. So Hassan Reddick, I don't know really a bold prediction to put on it, but he's a DE1. He's a DE1 this year. No doubt about it.
Nice. I guess we'll go with my bold prediction last. I'm going to say by week 7 or week 8, Gardner Minshew will be the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. I do not think Jalen Hurts. Look, I get it. He's great for fantasy football. He really is. He is great for.
And he has fans, Jorge. So careful. Careful, brother. He has fans. Woo, boy. I said something about the Eagles in the chat today, and boy, they was.
All right, so next week it'll be Nate and I on the show. Yeah.
Look, I get it. Look, I get why in fantasy football he is sought after. Obviously, the scrambling, the rushing yards. But as the season progressed, granted it was a 3-game sample of him being the starter, he got worse and worse. His fantasy output was going down. His his football play on the field was getting worse and worse. He was forced to take deep shots because the team was put in situations where they just couldn't do anything offensively. You go forward to this year. What has changed besides Devonta Smith on this offense for Philadelphia? Anything. I don't think there's anything there that you could really hang your head on to say, oh, well, this Eagles team is going to find a way to be resurgent, or, it was, and then, people are going to throw at me the narrative. Well, they got the new head coach.
Yeah, exactly. The O-line.
Yeah, you know what?
They fall back on that O-line all the time. That's what they go to.
Here's one question I have from a team dynamic approach. Do you think the Eagles really want to win this year if they don't believe that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback? Do you think they want to go 6 and now it's 10 or 11?
I don't think it matters.
Well, I think that it does, in the fact that if they think that they're going to lose enough games with Jalen Hurts, if they think they're going to get better with Gardner Minshew, what's the point? Why not ride it out and actually just finish as bad as they're going to be?
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying I don't think it matters, because I don't think they get to decide how many games they win, because it's not going to be many.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with that.
That defense is – hey, can y'all see that? Y'all know what this is? This is an old John Leguizamo skit right here. You know what this right here is? This is bullshit, because that's what that defense is. That defense, he's going to have to be TB12 plus something. I mean, he's going to have to be just otherworldly to make Jalen Reagor and Devontae Smith beat that defense, because the defense is going to be. It's going to be a red carpet. It's how you doing? Welcome. There you go. Welcome. Come on down. Y'all want 6 or 3? Y'all want 6 or 3? Welcome. So,
and it's going to be a lot of, like you said, a lot of 6s, a lot of 3s, and it's going to be a lot of Jalen Hurts having to do what he can, which is probably, I'm going to say he is 850 yards rushing this year. That's where I'm guessing Hurts finishes the season at. And you give me 850 floor. Now, granted, your bold prediction is not about where he finishes fantasy-wise. Yours is actual NFL talk. Wrong podcast, Jorge. Take that somewhere else, buddy. We're not here talking about real football.
Look,
way to go, boss.
I'll say this: Minshew may not have the rushing stats to match Hurts in that regard, but you have to ask yourself, where are the fantasy points coming from? Jalen Hurts, majority of them are probably going to come from him running the ball, not necessarily passing the ball. On the flip side, Gardner Minshew, it's probably going to come from him passing the ball versus him running the ball. So at the end of the day, whether it's coming from running or passing, I wouldn't be surprised if their points per game average are fairly comparable to a certain degree, because I don't think you're going to see Jalen Hurts running all over the field like everyone's thinking he's going to do, because defenses get paid too, and so do defensive coordinators. And eventually, ask RG3 how he's doing, in the second year of his NFL career, when defenses finally figured out how to stop a scrambling quarterback. I'm not saying, like I said, this is a bold prediction. I'm just saying this right there. I would not be surprised if Jalen Hurts is out here. Who we got? We got Evans here. Did I miss Teddy's bold prediction of Tyler Boyd as wide receiver 1?
He sniped me in our home league on Tyler Boyd, and it pissed me off.
How can he be wide receiver 1 if J.D. McKissick is the wide receiver 1? He's going to have dual eligibility in Teddy's brain. He's already QB1, wide receiver 1, tight end 1. And go ahead,
I didn't ever say wide receiver 1, but anyway.
Finish your ridiculous Jalen.
That offensive line is going to be so bad, they're going to have to get creative with their snap counts. It's going to have to be like Mississippi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hot. I mean, it's going to have to be creative. So I like the J.D. McKissick call. I like that a lot. Get rid of that ball. As soon as he says hot, he's going to throw it.
Look at me.
Back to you in the studio.
Thank you. So that's going to round up our bold predictions episode for the 2021 fantasy football season. Look, we got great stuff coming at you. Teddy, you dropped your start and sit column here at fantasyandframes.com. Nate and I, we have our our week 1 rankings up. I think a couple of us will add to that as the week progresses. Tomorrow night, we have football, finally. Thank goodness. Also, tomorrow night, we're starting something new on Thursdays at 8 o'clock, getting you ready just for kickoff. We're doing a 4th and Frames IDP edition, where we're going to have Mike Woolert from 4 to 4 Fantasy Football join us, and we're just going to talk about IDP players that can make an impact this coming week for your IDP rosters. So stay tuned for that. We got articles dropping every single day, and of course on Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern, we have the 4-Eyed pregame show, where we go for an hour talking about all the start and sit matchups we think you should pay attention to this season. Something Zach Moss. Do you know what he's talking about?
You sniped me on Zach Moss too.
Wow. Is Doug, are you channeling your inner Hulk Hogan right now?
Sorry about that.
It's one of my favorite songs. If I wasn't going to get sued for using it as the intro for the song, I would totally use that.
Nope, that was Peacock. Sorry about that. That was something that was supposed to play later. Sorry about that. Back to you.
That's for our next show.
Back to you in the studio.
You're Zach Moss truther too, Teddy?
No, I'm not. I'm not. How
did he snipe you?
Because he was at the top of my queue in like the 14th round last night in our home league draft, and then he took him.
I hate it.
Can I leave this little bomb before we get out of here? Ronald Jones, the second, will have 1,200 yards this season.
Hell yes.
I will take it because I am rostering him.
It's your son. The man only had 22 yards shy of 1,000 last year. The Bucks are putting him in a little bit more. Think of it, the Patriots' James White without all the passing. We're mixing it up. Anyway, back to you in the studio. Ronald Jones, 1,200 yards. I love you, Nate.
Nice. All right, folks. So that wraps us up here in 4th and Frame. Stay tuned, though. At 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be partnering with RT Sports and doing our Fantasy and Frames IDP Best Ball Draft. Doug will be there. Nate and I will be there. A few others will be there. And we're just going to be doing IDP Best Ball. There's not a lot of daily fantasy out there or gambling in general that revolves around IDP, let alone something like IDP Best Ball. So this can kind of give you some little insight in terms of like not only who to draft, even though drafts are wrapping up the day before the season kicks off, but in terms of this could kind of help you out in terms of waiver wire management as the season goes on and looking at players who have potential high upside potential in IDP. So tune in for that. We're going from 9 to about 10:30 or so. We'll see how it goes. We'll just play it by ear. And of course, tomorrow we have 4th and Frames IDP edition and the 4-Eyed pregame show, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Sunday mornings, and articles dropping every day, rankings dropping every day. So head over to fantasyandframes.com today and check us out. So for Doug, for Tyler, welcome to Fantasy and Frames, by the way. Brian, welcome back. For Nate, for Teddy, I'm Jorge.
And then we're going to find a best friend, Doug, and then we're going to give him a best friend hug. Doug.
Dougie, Doug. Oh my God, I haven't watched The Hangover in forever.
Great movie.
Okay, we're ending the show. All right, folks, we'll see you later.
Shit out of luck.
There you go.
That's what we're ending the show on. We're shit out of luck. There we go.
I love you, Nate. Come carry on.